let's start it off. Hocus Pocus from the year 1993 is a witch horror comedy made for kids. It's not super scary or anything, but it's for the kids, so they gotta have a little bit dumbed down with the scariness, right? It can't be too scary for the kids. But yeah, we'll get into it. I do have good things to say about it. There's some things that are really cool in this. So on Rotten Tomatoes, it has 38% on the tomato meter and 72% on the audience score. So yeah, this is a fan favorite, right? The audience just loves this movie. Critics didn't love it. Harmless, hokey, yet never much more than mediocre. Honestly, I kind of agree. Hocus Pocus is a muddled, family-friendly effort that fails to live up to the talents of its impressive cast. The impressive cast, SJP, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Bette Midler. But let's read some of these reviews. So, and Kathy Najimy, who is in Rat Race, one of my favorite movies. She is the third sister. Yes, it's the old teens warn the townfolk, but no one believes them trick. This time it's not quite a treat. That's a negative review. Here's a good one. It's a veritable bag of box office treats. So they liked it. This one just says dreadful. That's a bad review, obviously. And this one is good. Silly but irresistible. So some people liked it. Some people don't like it. Like most things. But yeah, the critics generally didn't like it. 38% isn't great. Although there is worse. There is worse reviewed movies, of course. That being said, let's get away from the Rotten Tomatoes and let's look at the IMDb. And she was in Sister Act, right? And which I reviewed that a little while ago. I just think of Rat Race because it's one of my favorite movies. But yeah, you're right. She's in that too. 6.9 out of 10. And that's decent for IMDb. Let's go down. Bette Midler, like I said. The head witch. And then Sarah Jessica Parker plays Sarah, conveniently enough, and Kathy Najimy, as we said, is Mary. Let's look at some of the other cast here. Ormy Katz plays Max. He's the main character. I don't really know if he's in anything else. I'm curious because he's the main character. Let's click on him. What's he known for? This movie. And he's from the TV show Dallas. Okay. And the John Le Carré Show, which I don't know what that is. And Erie, Indiana. He was on, I guess he's mainly on TV shows and this movie. So let's go back to the IMDb page. Who else is noteworthy for the cast here? I don't know. Oh, Doug Jones, who is Billy Butcherson. Doug Jones is usually someone in movies with like tons of makeup on, and this is no exception because he plays Billy Butcherson. He plays a zombie that gets resurrected by the witches to try to make him do their bidding. Billy Butcherson. And since this is one of your favorite movies, maybe you can shed light, because I'm going to have some questions about some of the things, and maybe you can make some of the stuff that doesn't make sense to me make sense. But we'll see when we get there. Let's look at the box office information. I feel like this movie did well. I think because the audience liked it. But let's see. It didn't do crazy, but it didn't do bad. $28 million budget and a $45 million gross. So that's not so bad. They made their money back and then some. Not quite double, but still not bad. And let's see here. Let's look at my notes. We looked at the IMDb page. Now let's get into this here. So, those are the Sleeping Beauty notes. Let's get into the Hocus Pocus notes. And I got a few notes here, so let's get into it. So, the sets in the opening scene look really good. Some of my first notes are just the set pieces are great, and the makeup is well done. The practical effects and makeup look good. My second note, yeah. I like nothing really to complain about the practical effects. I like that. Even the CGI they use with the light, like they use CGI in the right places with them, like shooting lightning or whatever magic magic electricity, whatever you want to call it. The practical effects and makeup are good. I already said that. Dead man's toe. At first I'm like, wait, is this a joke? Like, why? I guess they're just laughing because they're supposed to be dumb. Like Sarah Jessica Parker and the other one, Mary. Sarah and Mary. Yes. They're supposed to both be kind of dumb. So maybe that's why they're laughing at her just saying dead man's toe over and over again. But I get why it's in that, because it comes back into it later when they're trying to recreate the recipe and they're like, dead man's something. Dead man's what is it? And it's dead man's toe. And I remember it because I remember them saying dead man's toe so many fucking times. But I was like, why are they laughing? Why is it funny? But I guess the point is that they're just dumb, so they think it's funny. And then it's a nod later on in the movie, so I get why it's in the movie, but it just wasn't funny. Is my point. How does the potion work if Emily doesn't drink the potion? Yeah, the kids are supposed to drink it, and then the witches get their soul or whatever. They get their youth, and they become a little bit younger looking from giving them this magic potion. But they don't give her the potion, or you don't see her drinking it. So to me, that didn't make any sense. They could have just shown her drinking it. It would have made more sense. Why doesn't the boy run away from the witches? Yeah, there's just a period where I feel like he could have ran and he didn't. So that just seemed a little silly to me. And yeah, they're teaching all this took place. Yeah, continuity error, that must be what it is. Because obviously she was supposed to have had drank it, because that's the established way that the potion works. But they clearly didn't show it. Didn't show her drinking it. But yeah, and then we fast forward to present day 1993 school, and they're teaching this witch lore in the schools, and I guess it makes enough sense, but they're teaching the lore in his little sister's class as well as his class. So they're just teaching everybody about witches, and they just treat this like it is fact. Witches exist. Which doesn't make sense, because when they go to tell the cops that the witches are real, they're like, no, that's fucking bullshit. So why would they teach it in school? Doesn't seem like noteworthy criteria. Like, it shouldn't be in the curriculum, in my opinion. But unless it was established that they know that the witches are real, and then it would make sense to teach. But they act like it doesn't exist. Good point. Never thought about that before. I know, I'm here. I'm asking the big questions. So yeah, that didn't make any sense to me. Teaching the witch lore in school. But Hellraiser skateboard is my next note. It's just cool to see that a sort of a reference to Hellraiser looked like a cool skateboard. Kind of neat. What is the dad doing when we meet him? So he has like a battery and this like weird plastic thing, and he's like going into the battery. And I would have liked that to be explained, what the fuck he's doing with that. I was interested to me. It's like, what is he trying to fix, or what is he trying to accomplish here? But they just never mention it or show it again. But yeah, what's that dad doing with that battery and those plastic tongs? I don't understand. I was curious about that. Oh yeah, rap singer costume. So the main character, he wants to, be cool and not wear a costume. He's forced to take his sister trick-or-treating. So he just wears like sort of normal clothes. He's got like a baseball cap. And his dad's like, what's your costume? He's like, I'm a rap singer. And I just thought rap singer was kind of funny, because now we don't really say that. I guess in the 90s they might have. But we think of it as like a rapper or a rap artist, not a rap singer. I just thought that was kind of funny. It was a 90s thing. It's fine. Why don't they just walk around the bullies? It's established that they can. These bullies are taking people's candy at the gate of this one house. But the main character's like, to his sister, let's walk around. Let's avoid the bullies. Makes sense. But they don't do that. She's like, no, let's just go. And they go and get hassled and they get their candy stolen. But if they would have just walked around, it would have been fine. They wouldn't have gotten noticed. They would have gotten away. I think, and that's the way they make it seem like anyway. I think they should have at least tried to walk around anyway. Yeah, and I already said this, but the sister also learned about the witches. Like, they're teaching this in every grade about these witch sisters. Seems a little silly. But anyways, the witch house is just open. So, the plot of this movie is that these witches come back if this candle is lit. In this house that is untouched because it was a museum, but the museum is closed. So wouldn't the doors be locked? Like, they just walk in and it's fine. And they start fucking around with the shit in the store. Or the house, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think it's weird that it's just open. Like, it's not even locked. Like, they could have done a thing where they, like, had to break a window and open it or something. That would have made a little more sense. And again, this is another note where I guess the answer might just be, I guess it's because they're just really dumb, but it seems really silly to me. Because the main character, he sprays some water on him from the fire extinguisher water sprinklers from the top. I don't know what the sprinklers from the top when there's a fire. So he makes that go down. They're like, oh no, the fire rain is getting me, the burning rain. But like, it's touching them and they're still not catching on that it's just regular rain. It doesn't do anything. It was a different time. Nobody locked their door. I guess even for abandoned buildings, but you'd think that they would lock it just so like hoodlums wouldn't come fuck with it, which is exactly what's happening in this movie. Hoodlums coming to fuck with this abandoned building. But I guess so. It was the 90s. That's the explanation we get. Yeah, wouldn't they figure out that the burning rain is not burning rain? And they do, but it just takes them a little longer than I think it should have. And yeah, water doesn't hurt witches. In the movie Wizard of Oz, the lore is that the water melts the witches. So if the water, I guess if that happened in this movie, the movie would be over pretty quick. So I can forgive that. It was just sort of something, lore, vampire movie lores are different in different movies. Same with witch movies. That's fine. Doug Jones looks cool in this. He looks cool in every movie. He's the fish guy in Hellboy. He's a lot of shit. He was the moon in those McDonald's commercials from the 80s. But yeah, he's really cool in this. He's got the zombie makeup and the stitching over his mouth. And they do the thing with the head coming off. He does a good job. Doug Jones is always good. Oh yeah, the cop that they talk to is not a cop. And then this is just kind of funny. And it begs the question, like, why is he going along with them if he's just in a Halloween costume? I guess he's trying to pull a joke on them, perhaps in the spirit of Halloween. But the kids are like, to this guy who is seemingly a cop, they're like, hey, let's go. There's witches fucking up shit. And they're like, you're wasting my time. I'm a cop. Like, don't waste my time with this bullshit. And so they leave him alone. But then we find out that he's not even a real cop. Which also leads me to the question, if he's dressed like a cop and it's so realistic that these kids think he's an actual cop, wouldn't that be impersonating a police officer? Wouldn't that be illegal even though it's Halloween? I wonder about that. Maybe he was already drunk and figured it was funny to act like a cop. And yeah, you're right. That could be it. And that's fine. He just thought it was funny. He wanted to fuck with the kids on the sake of Halloween. That's sort of what I'm thinking. But yeah, still, to my point about him, is that illegal? Him impersonating a cop? It could be, but it doesn't matter that much, I guess. That is a nitpick for sure. But it's just more of a curiosity. Like, would that be illegal? It's Halloween, but it's a very realistic cop costume, so he could get in trouble, maybe, for impersonating a police officer. But anyway, I digress. Moving on with the rest of my notes here. They just let Bette Midler take the stage. So the scene where, of course, we gotta have a song, and we gotta have Bette Midler sing, because she's a singer. And they do a version of I Put a Spell on You. And I guess maybe okay, we'll chalk this one up to magic. I'll say that this is okay just because of magic. They get up on stage and they take over, and my note was initially like, wouldn't these people be mad that the witches are just hopping on stage? But yeah, maybe they're putting magic on them and make it so, let it be okay. I'm gonna say that it's magic. Sometimes you can chalk it up to magic, and I think that this is one of those times they wouldn't get mad at them because it's magic. So yes, they do let Bette Midler take the stage over. The band, they're fine with it. And she doesn't have a microphone. So okay, this is, I guess you could chalk this up to magic, but I'm not gonna for this one. She has no microphone. How is it the voice projecting all over? It doesn't make any sense. Because she doesn't have a microphone. She could have just picked up a microphone real quick and that would have been explained, but they don't. Their walk is fun. They all go together. I'll try to do it by myself, but they all like go together and they do like this fun sort of walk where they walk together, and I like that. I enjoyed that, and it worked. And they do it a few times in the movie. It's sort of like their thing, and I like that. And yeah, the witches have good chemistry. It was a good casting, I'd say. Sarah Jessica Parker, and I keep forgetting our girl's name, who is in Sister Act. Who plays Mary, Kathy Najimy, Sarah Jessica Parker, Bette Midler, all have great chemistry with each other. And yeah, that's all for that note, but I got a few more here. If it's 5 a.m., then why are kids still in costumes? Yeah, doesn't make sense to me, because they state that it's 5 in the morning, and then the witches use this magic spell to bring all the kids. They're trying to lure all the kids so they can take their youth or whatever. But all these kids are still in costumes. Like, I know when I went trick-or-treating, I was in bed by, like, 11 or whatever. These kids wouldn't be in their costumes anymore. It makes enough sense that they would come, but they would be in, like, regular clothes, I think, at that point. Maybe some of them slept in their costume. But they're all still in costumes at 5 a.m. Doesn't make sense to me. And yeah, the jokes are hit and miss. Just some of this, I laughed a little bit, but some of them I'm just like, ooh, that didn't land for me. Some of the jokes. Hit and miss with the jokes, and that's, that happens sometimes. I never thought about that. You're right. They should have been in PJs, not costumes. Yeah, because it's 5 a.m. I'm the one that, I'm really looking at these movies like, hey, do this shit make sense? Does it? And often, almost in every movie, there's something that doesn't make sense, right? And I'm just here to point out that nitpicky shit. Let's see here. Yeah, the jokes. How do witches not, or how do they know what a driver's permit is? Because they don't seem to know like what a lot of things are in this new 90s age. Because they're from the 14th century or whatever the fuck, 1800s, I forget. But they make a joke involving driver's permit. But how do they know what that is? It's not explained. Because they didn't have cars in the time that they were in. This is why I'm here for the reviews, the nitpicky shit. That's right, I appreciate Dead Flies music. You've been here basically the whole time, and I love you for it. Thank you so much. Yeah, how do witches know what a driver's permit is? It doesn't make any sense, because they're not from this time, and they just got here. But they're able to make a joke involving it. And yeah, this part, maybe you can answer this one for me. Because I'm wondering, why does Doug Jones stop listening to the witches? I forget, they sort of do something, but I don't get, like, why. Like, they take the thread off his mouth and he can talk. So maybe that gives him his own free will back or something. I don't know, but at a certain point, Doug Jones is like, I'm not listening to you fucking witches anymore. I'm on the kids' team, and I'd like that, but I just wish it would have been explained a little better. Because it's not really explained. That was like, all of a sudden, like, he's listener. It's like, why, when the thing is taken off his mouth, that he doesn't listen to her anymore. Just some things could have been explained better, and that's one of them. But couldn't they have given the potion to the bullies? Yeah, so they have these bullies captured, and they're like, we need to get a kid. And they're so they gung-ho on getting this one kid. They want the little sister of the main character, because they called her ugly because she called them ugly or something. But they're running out of time. They're gonna die if they don't do this spell, and they have these 2 kids. So why not just fucking do it to them, so you don't die? But they're like, no, we got to get this girl. She called me ugly. That doesn't make sense to me. Bette Midler's character put a spell on him to make him love her, and the spell broke. Yeah, well, exactly. The spell broke somehow. That's my point, though. What is the somehow? It could have been explained a little better. It's something to do with the thread coming off the mouth. But, again, it just could have been explained better, in my opinion. Couldn't they have given the potion to the bullies? Because they're going to die if they don't feed a potion to one of these kids, and they have these kids, but they don't do it. They have to get the girl. Doesn't make sense. It's just sort of like, we have to keep the plot going. You have to go get after the main characters. So yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. The way Doug Jones says, oh yeah, I just like that. I like the way he said, oh yeah. And my last note is, they pound in the virgin point so hard. So many times they're like, you're a virgin to the kid, because the point is that if a virgin lights the candle, it brings back the witches. And so many movies do this. It's like making being a virgin seem like you're a bad person or something. It's like they keep making fun of him for being a virgin. It's like, first off, he's in like grade 9 or whatever. Like, that's perfectly fine age to be grade 9 or 10 or whatever. It's a perfectly fine age to be a virgin. There's no need to be ashamed and no reason to shame him so much for it. But it was a different time, and people were making fun of people for being virgins more than they are now, I think. I just think it's unnecessary. They just really kept pounding that nail with the hammer, over and over again. Like, he's a virgin. Look at him. He's stupid. He's a virgin. Ha ha ha. What an idiot. And it's just like, okay, I get it, but not really. It makes sense that he's a virgin because he's a kid. They made fun of people for being virgins back then. Today we have teenage mothers. Do we make fun of teenage mothers? We shouldn't be making fun of teenage mothers though either, but I guess maybe you're right. It's unfortunate. People should just be nicer. That's one of my notes. Can't we all just get along? Can't we be kind to one another? But yeah, I'm gonna rate this movie. Overall, it was pretty okay. It had some problems, but it was kind of fun. And if you don't worry about the nitpicks, you can still enjoy this movie. But I'm gonna give it, honestly, 5.9. Not quite 6. It's okay. That's an okay rating for me. It just could have been a lot better, in my opinion. Hocus Pocus, 5.9 out of 10 Dougs. No, not making fun of teenage mothers, just that people stop being virgins. Oh, too early and now babies are having babies. Oh, I get what you're saying. But yeah, good. I'm glad people aren't making fun of teenage mothers then. That's a good thing. Hocus Pocus, 5.9 out of 10 Dougs.